It's Hump Day, first take on a Wednesday. Folks, thank you so much for hanging with us. We appreciate you. We got you covered coast to coast here. Stephen A. is in NYC. Max is in LA. Miss Connecticut here in Connecticut, rightfully so. How we doing, guys?
What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing? Good morning.
Ready
Good morning.
to go. It's early out here, but I'm ready.
Yeah, you are. Let's get right into it. About last night. The Cavs cruised to a 103-86 victory over the Grizzlies despite playing without Kyrie Irving. J.R. Smith and LeBron both put up 23 points apiece, and Kevin Love recorded his fifth straight game with at least 20 points. But don't expect the same team effort tonight when the Cleveland Cavs travel to Memphis for back-to-backs. Here's Ty Lue with an announcement.
No Kyrie, no LeBron, no Kevin traveling. Thank you. Have a nice night. Dave, you can close your mouth. You want your mouth?
You said they're not traveling?
No, they're not playing.
But they're traveling.
They're not going.
Not going.
Why?
I felt like it.
Why not play Kyrie?
I just, if his body was hurting that much and, his legs was, legs were tired. I mean, it just makes sense to give him a little extra rest.
No back-to-back. Stephen A., you got a problem with this?
Well, listen, they're talking about they're not traveling to Memphis. Am I correct?
Yep.
I have a huge problem with it. I despise it. I can't stand it. I've been on the record saying that. And this is not an indictment against LeBron James, who's never even missed 10 games in a season in his career. This is not an indictment against the exceptional young coach that Tyronn Lue is, or Kyrie Irving, or anybody else. This is a principled position that I have maintained all of these years that I've been covering the NBA, which is 20 and counting. I have a problem with individuals who choose road games to take off. If you are going to take off, why can't you take off of one of the 41 home games you have? Because the chances are that people who are coming to see you at some point in time or another, they're going to be there to see you. Not to mention the fact that, again, not only are they going to see you, but at the same time, it's your home team, it's your home turf, it's your home fan base. So they truly are coming to root for the team, even in the event that a LeBron, a Kyrie, etc. aren't playing. But when you go on the road, you're going once, possibly twice a year. They're not going to get an opportunity to see you on the road. If you're the Memphis Grizzlies and you're selling tickets to your fan base, what you're telling your fan base is gravitating towards that particular game because they're anticipating seeing a LeBron. They're anticipating seeing a Kyrie Irving. And that's their only shot throughout the season to see you. And you don't show up for that game. I just think I think it's insane, and I think it's wrong. There may be nothing you can do about it, but I'll tell you an idea that I have, Max Kellerman. A matter of fact, go ahead, Max. I'll wait to tell you what my
that's right.
idea
You know why
is
they don't get to
Justice
see
Max.
them? Because they don't have them on their team. I mean, Kyrie and LeBron and Kevin Love don't play for Memphis. They play for Cleveland. And what you're talking about is having business interest of the league supersede the competitive interests of the team. Listen, think about every player in NBA history. What are they really playing for? Like, how do we remember them? Why does Magic Johnson win the Larry Bird argument right now? He's got 5, Bird's got 3. Who's championships? Who's the best active coach in basketball? Greg Popovich. What does he do? He Popoviches his players. He rests them. Are you suggesting that there shouldn't be any such thing as a DNP-CD, did not play coach's decision? Because that's what Ty Lue is saying. He's saying, look, they ain't going to play. That's a coach's decision. And for someone else to sit there, you or anyone else say, yeah, but the only reason you're not playing them is because of X, Y, and Z. They're your best players. Why wouldn't you? That's really not for someone else to decide. That's for the coach to decide, who's doing his best to marshal his resources in such a way that he gives his team the best chance to win a championship. And that's what it's about. So who is this actually serving? The Cleveland Cavaliers fans who root for that team and want the team to win a championship. And you just said you don't know what you're going to do about it. You know what you can do about it. I don't think anything should be done about it, but I'm interested to hear your plan, Stephen A.
Well, first of all, if a cockroach was looking for crumbs on the ground, you could explain it away and philosophize about it. That don't make it just. That doesn't make it so. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. When I'm talking about it, first of all, I said, of course you can get rest. I'm talking about not just the interest of the league from a business perspective, a decency towards the fan base. Again, they're not going to see you because they don't live there in Cleveland. If you're coming to Memphis once a year, you're coming to Utah or someplace like that, and that's the game you choose to sit out, I think it's incredibly insensitive to that fan base. And I'm telling you what I think
where are
should
the
happen.
violins? Where are the
I'm
violins?
sorry,
Stephen
I'm
A.
sorry.
Smith.
Did I let you
You're
speak?
always making fun of me. You saying that I'm in my emotions about this stuff.
Did I let you speak? Did I let you speak? Let me get to my point. I specifically said I had a point, and it is this. I believe that the NBA should start allowing fans, in the event that you choose not to show up and play, I think that the fans should be allowed to get their money back or get a discount. Because when they charged those ticket prices for that particular game, it was with the thought that LeBron and Kyrie would be in uniform. And if you're not going to show up, this is not Cleveland, mind you, because they're there 41 nights a year. This is on the road, the only time you would get to see them. That's cheating the fans.
Well,
and let me tell you
not
something.
the fans of Cleveland. I mean, listen, Memphis, get your game up. Like, get players that people are interested in watching.
So
And
I
Memphis is
have
pretty
a
good,
question.
by the way.
I have a question because this is where I'm confused. Are you saying that LeBron and Kyrie and Tyronn Lue should not care about anybody but the Cleveland fan base?
Of course that's what I'm saying.
Oh, now we're getting somewhere because we are diametrically opposed to this. One of the things that I've said, and I've said this on many occasions, when you talk about MJ, when you talk about Kobe, they were headliners who accepted the responsibility of being headliners. This is the kind of situation that comes forth with this new collective bargaining negotiation that they're engaging in. This is the kind of stuff that turns the public against a player or a team. Because what happens is this. We understand that you could get around anything. We respect that. And we know it's taxing on a body, etc., etc. But when you are insensitive to a road team where they're never going to see you, Memphis probably ain't going to the finals. That means you're not going to see LeBron at all if you're in Memphis. When you sit in, you have no regard for that. Why is that? It's because of the money. Because, see, when the salaries weren't what they were, and you had the sneaker company supplementing your income, and you were encouraged and provoked and incentivized to show up no matter what, you didn't hesitate to do it.
Right. So
but
now we have gotten somewhere
it's like,
indeed.
oh, this is where we are.
Now we have gotten somewhere indeed. What you are suggesting is that these guys put on their business hats in the middle of a season and allow business interests to supersede competitive interests. And all those things you're talking about, yeah, maybe in a CBA, you try to incentivize players to play on the road against teams for some reason. They're only going to be there once or twice a year, whatever. I mean, I don't care that much about that. Go watch the guys on TV or go travel to the other city or go get better players. But okay, if it is a legitimate business interest, you want the league engaged, the fans of the league engaged, sure. But in the middle of a season, to be angry at a coach or players for putting their competitive interests in terms of winning a championship that year ahead of their business interests.
I have a question.
Why?
I have a question. This is where I'm so confused. You keep saying their competitive interests. Right. I'm saying to you, Max, let me try to crystallize where I'm going. You act like you keep bringing up competitive interest. What I'm saying to you is, suppose they had a game in Memphis tonight, but Cleveland tomorrow night. What I'm saying is, what's wrong with playing on the road with people who'll never otherwise see you and taking a night off in a city where they always see you?
Let me ask you this.
What's wrong with that? I don't understand. How does that competitive interest? What are you talking about?
Let's say somehow Memphis makes it to the finals. Everyone else gets hurt in the West, or they match up well with Golden State because they can post up, whatever it is, and Memphis makes it to the finals. Are those fans in Memphis going to be cheering for Cleveland, or are they going to be cheering for Memphis?
They're going to be cheering for Memphis.
Right. Those fans are interested in their team. So that is reciprocated, fans and team. The Cleveland Cavaliers players would like to hook their fans up, not the fans of another team. This is very straightforward.
I'm saying to you, you hook them up 41 nights a year. As opposed to
fans.
the one night a year, you never see them. You only see them once a year. I'm saying you don't have a I got it. Okay. Well, we disagree. That's fine. Because I just want it to be clear. You don't give a damn about any fan base outside of your own. That's essentially what you're saying. If you're playing Cleveland, you shouldn't care about anybody else.
What I'm saying.
Inwardly
I
focused,
understand.
Max Kellerman.
And last time I checked, the money that the players are being paid is because of the money they generate, not just locally, but nationally. And by the way,
that ain't Ty Lue's problem. That ain't Ty Lue's problem.
What Max is saying, then there's no sense in NBA players ever playing in Olympic competition. Why represent your country? Who cares?
Yeah.
All you need to care about is your city.
That's right. The only time the NBA players should play in the Olympics is when Team America's getting whooped, and we need to really let the world know who runs basketball. That's when they should play. Otherwise, we should never send our guys to play.
Okay,
well,
gentlemen.
I appreciate it. I understand. You're wrong, but I understand.
Let's agree to disagree. And despite the travel day, lack of travel day, no player in NBA history has played more minutes than LeBron prior to his 32nd birthday, which is about 2 weeks away. But Ty Lue isn't the only head man with an announcement. We're keeping up with the Joneses too, folks. Jerry, the floor is yours.
I don't have a definition for it, but you'll know it when you see it. It's kind of like a definition I heard one time of another issue, trying to define a negative topic, and they said, I don't know how to say it, but it's just something that when you see it, you know it's there. We'll see it. Given the need for him, we want him ready on the spur of the moment to be a part of any effort we make to be tried to win the ball games. And so it would be when we all probably thought it was time for him to come in and play. I don't want to give you those circumstances because I don't like either one of the discussion.
Stephen A., I know you love Jerry Jones. You sported the shirt, and in Jerry you trust. But please explain to me, why can't this man stop talking about Tony Romo?
Because he wants Tony Romo in the lineup, and he's willing to undermine Dak Prescott to do it. I think it's very, very clear. The more he talks about it, Jerry Jones is a brilliant businessman. He's a hype machine personified. Clearly, he wants the headlines, and certainly alluding to Romo makes it even more, there's more additional headlines that ultimately will come the Cowboys' way. But it's deeper than that to me when I listen to Jerry Jones. I see someone clamoring for Tony Romo. Now that Tony Romo clearly sees the future and sees the future of the Dallas Cowboys, recognizing that he's not going to be a part of it in all likelihood, not if he wants to be a starting quarterback, because Dak Prescott is the future. This is the end for Tony Romo in Dallas. Multiple back surgeries, collarbone issues, and beyond at age 36. This is it. Jerry Jones recognizes that the Dallas Cowboys have an opportunity to be Super Bowl champions, and he wants Tony Romo to be the guy who takes them there. So it's not like Dak's not the future. It's not like Jerry Jones doesn't believe in him. It's not like he's not going to look forward to Dak Prescott, guiding the Dallas Cowboys to prosperity in the years and years to come. But at this particular moment in time, he is clearly willing to undermine Dak Prescott in order to facilitate the resurgence of Tony Romo. And I suspect that Jerry Jones is not even the only one within the organization who feels this way, thinks this way, and is hoping this will happen. I think there are others, possibly guys wearing the uniform, that want the same thing. The Dallas Cowboys, as far as I'm concerned, no matter how together they seem, they're a divided bunch when it comes to the Romo-Dak Prescott issue. And I think that Jerry Jones is illuminating that every time he opens his mouth.
Hey, Stephen A., let's just read between the lines here. When you say you think that's the case, is that because maybe a little birdie told you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought. Look, you got to read between the lines of Stephen A. When he says, I think, and then he tells you that half the team wants something, that's because he talks to a lot of people. Look,
I didn't say half the team, though. I didn't say, but some
people on the team.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know that this is that specific to Tony Romo in terms of Jerry Jones popping off about it. Jerry Jones likes to be called coach. He enjoys that. He likes everyone to know how much he knows about football. He loves the culture of it, and he loves being thought of that way. And it's like getting mad at Jerry Jones for for saying something he shouldn't. And let me be clear, he should shut up about Tony Romo at this point. I mean, enough. You're or better yet, keep talking, because you're undermining your team's chances. And I'm a Giants fan, so keep talking. If I were a Cowboys fan, I would just say, please, Jerry Jones, please shut up. Please stop talking. But he can't help himself, and asking him to do that because he likes the attention. Asking him to do that is like asking a lion not to eat, or a crocodile not to eat a wildebeest. That's what the crocodile does. It's not like a moral issue. He doesn't really have a choice. He's hungry. He's going to eat that wildebeest. Or actually, in Jerry Jones' case, it's more like telling the wildebeest, hey, don't go to the edge of that river because there are crocodiles in it. Wildebeest can't help it. It's thirsty. It's got to go, even though it knows it might get eaten by a crocodile. And that's what Jerry Jones is, a thirsty wildebeest.
Well, you could say he's thirsty, but the reality is that it goes far deeper than that. And the reason why it goes far deeper than that is because you have a rookie. Now, granted, Dak Prescott has shown tremendous poise. He seems to be an old soul, mature beyond his years. And even though I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys because they have the worst fan base in American history, they're delusional and they're annoying and obnoxious and I can't stand them, it doesn't take away from the fact that Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott have been incredibly impressive. I'm proud of these young brothers, and I wish them nothing but the best, so long as they don't win the Super Bowl, because I can't stand their fan base, and I don't want to hear their mouth for the next year. But the flip side to all of that is, if you're Dak Prescott, you're still a rookie. No matter what your performance belies, it's who you are. And to be so incredibly insensitive to this man, with what he's doing, and riding those coattails and being enthusiastic and supportive of him. And instead, what you do is you give lip service or you articulate the obvious, while at the same time making sure that everybody knows what your true wish is. And that true wish is not Dak Prescott. It's incredibly insensitive. I would dare say it's unprofessional, but I would also say it's emblematic of who the Dallas Cowboys are and have been since Jerry Jones arrived. Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones together won 3 championships in 4 years. We recognize that. Jerry Jones was on a mission to prove that he was worthy, that he deserved more credit than Jimmy Johnson, who clearly was disrespectful towards him, refused to give him. All right. And ever since then, getting Barry Switzer, ultimately getting that 3rd Super Bowl title. But some would argue that was with decisions that Jerry and Jimmy made. Jerry has been on a mission to prove that he deserves credit for all of this. It is now 21 plus years and counting. He has failed to do it, and he will fail again because of stuff like this.
I don't know if he'll fail again this year. Maybe. I hope
he
so.
will.
I really hope.
I hope he fails. I hope you're right about that. He will not win the Super Bowl this year.
I hope you're right. I don't think they will either, but they have as good a chance as any. And they're the odds-on favorite in the opinion of some. Entertain this thought for a second. I agree with that analysis you just said. Entertain this thought for a second. What if the fact is that there are coaches and players on the Dallas Cowboys who, when they watch game film, when they watch the coaches' film, they see things that Dak isn't seeing. They believe that Romo would see them. And whether or not they're correct about it, they genuinely believe that even though it would be unpopular because the team is 11-2 with Dak Prescott, it would actually increase their chances of winning a Super Bowl if they put Romo in. If you can entertain that thought, Stephen A. Smith, and you think that's possible, then that sheds a different kind of light on what Jerry Jones is doing. As wrong-headed as it might be, if that's the case, then he's doing it because he actually believes it.
Well, here's why I would disagree with you, because I sometimes joke and call you Spock Kellerman because you're logic. You're logical, and because you're logical, you look at it from that perspective. It's not that you're wrong, it's that you're incomplete. Because when we talk about sports, we don't just talk about numbers. We also talk about results. And when we talk about results, we talk about what assists towards those results. Sometimes it is numbers, but a lot more often than not, it's not just numbers, it's cohesion, it's chemistry, it's togetherness, it's a flair, it's a vibe, it's a swag, it's all of those things that come with it. Intangibles that contribute to elevating one's ability and the collective forces around them, galvanizing the troops, bringing them together and spearheading them to prosperity. These are the kind of things that happen in sports all the time. The owners tell us this, the executives tell us this, and certainly the coaches, the coaching staff, and the players tell us this. this. So to throw all of that out the window because you love Tony Romo so much and he looks a bit better than Dak Prescott, the rookie, may look. I understand Max Kellerman saying that, but there is no excuse on earth for the Dallas Cowboys to be articulating that position in the throes of Dak performing the way he's performing.
Hold on, because I actually believe that Dak should be the quarterback because of everything you just said, because of all that kind of conventional sports and football wisdom, particularly in football. But there are those who would say, who work in the industry, which is why I'm sure the team is divided about this, that you can't get too caught up in the results. You can't get too caught up in the correlation between one guy starting under center and wins, if you believe that in spite of that correlation, in terms of the causal relationship of the quarterback to the success, it would be better to have another guy back there. Then it actually takes courage to suggest that. Now, my own analysis of the situation is don't mess with this if you're Dallas. But that might not be everybody's.
All right, guys, we got to leave it there. We go from one of Stephen A's favorites and Jerry to another one of his favorites and Aaron Rodgers. It was a bromance like no other, folks. Coming up, Stephen A had that bad man on his radio show yesterday and asked him about his critics, including Greg Jennings. We'll tell you what he had to say after the break. Plus, Richard Sherman had some more choice words for the NFL and what he thinks of Thursday Night Football. Here's a sneak peek. We'll react after the break.
Poop fest. It's terrible. This is, you played, freaking got home like 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that on Monday, and then you got to play again. I mean, congratulations, NFL. You did it again.
Richard Sherman, he never minces words or shies away from a microphone. Stephen A isn't the only one not feeling Thursday Night Football. Sherm, what do you think of it?
Poop fest. It's terrible. This is, you played, freaking got home like 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that on Monday, and then you got to play again. I mean, congratulations, NFL. You did it again. But they've been doing it all season, so I guess we're the last ones to get the middle finger.
So the Seahawks host the Rams this Thursday after playing at Green Bay on Sunday afternoon. Jeff Saturday in the house. Always good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to start with Stephen A here, though. Stephen A, do you love or hate his comments?
Well, I love him. I did. I don't want to be a hypocrite here because there's times weeks ago where I said he's got to watch what he's always saying about the NFL. They're still the shield and what have you, and you got to pick your battles. But on this particular issue, he's absolutely on the money. I agree 1,000% with Richard Sherman. I love his comments. Thursday Night Football is garbage. It's an absolute travesty. I can't stand it. I despise it. I hate it because I think about the players, which is obviously something that a lot of people aren't thinking about. I think about the quality of football that we see on Thursdays compared to what we see on Sundays. And for the most part this year, it's been abysmal to say the least. And I don't think there's any denying that. When you couple that with the fact that guys are telling you that they're more prone to injury, and then add to that the hypocrisy on the part of the NFL who says they're concerned about player safety, then it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's clearly a money grab. It's additional dollars for the league. They'll throw a few pennies in the direction of the players to sit up there and say, hey, look at the money that you're getting. See why we should do this? But there are ways to get around this. At the end of the day, you can't have somebody playing on a Sunday night and then being ready to play Thursday and think they're not going to suffer. It's going to be a diluted product. It's going to be less than the quality of football patrons are accustomed to paying for. And it just shows the hypocrisy of the NFL and how it's a money grab. I have always hated Thursday Night Football. I hate it still. And I think anybody who loves it is thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about the players. And they're certainly not thinking about quality football because we don't see too much of it on Thursdays.
Richard Sherman's absolutely right. I love his comments. The NFL is being hypocritical. The NFL cares. I never knew why sports leagues felt that they needed to sell that so hard with a heartbeat and they're getting into the community. I mean, it's great that they do, but fans of those teams really just care about their teams being good and they want to see good competitive games, etc. And Thursday night football has been garbage for most of the year. I love it because it's better than nothing. I get to watch a football game. There are ways, I think, to make it better. Maybe start it when the bye week kicks in and only for the teams coming off their bye, because then they get Thursday to the following Sunday, so they're never on short rest. In fact, it's long rest both times. There are things so you have to cut down on the number of Thursday night football games, not ditch it entirely. There are things that can be done to make it better for player safety. But I want to talk about the hypocrisy of the NFL, because that's really what Richard Sherman is pointing to here. The reason business needs to be regulated, businesses need to be regulated, period, is not because they're malicious. It's not because businesses are immoral. Really, morality has nothing to do with it. Businesses are amoral. It's not about doing the right thing or the wrong thing. That's all window dressing. The NFL cares and everything's all nonsense. Businesses are, the nature of it is to make money. Period. That's what a business is there to do. And if it turns out being a good influence, great. If it turns out having a detrimental effect at times, it's really not germane to what it is. And I'll go back to a National Geographic metaphor, because I used the crocodile and the wildebeest last segment. It's like getting mad at a shark because it tried to eat you. That's what a shark does. It's hungry. That's all it knows. Morality does not come into the equation. So Richard Sherman is right to point out the hypocrisy, no doubt about it. And this is why there needs to be regulation, or in this case, maybe a harder fought collective bargaining agreement between the players union and the league. But that's all it is, really. He's pointing out the hypocrisy because when they say they care, they're lying. Caring is not an issue. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they care to hurt the players. It's that that's not what's at issue here. What's at issue is making money, and they'll change it if they think their bottom line could be affected.
I couldn't agree with either more. I mean, as you look at what Richard Sherman says from a player's perspective, I fully agree with Richard Sherman. I love his phrase. I don't know if I would have picked it out, but the poop fest is comical, right? Because what he's saying is real. When you get home at 1 o'clock in the morning, your body's still on that, he's in Green Bay time. Now he's out in Seattle. What's he got to do to prep? Think about the other team come in. You never know who you're going to play. All of those things come into play. And when you talk about player safety and health and safety, it's not only about the quality of play on Thursday. Stephen A., you brought up a good point, right? Is it bad football? But there's bad football on Sundays as well. So, owners can make that argument. Well, there's bad teams that play bad teams, or teams play poorly. We can't just take that as an excuse. But the issue with Thursday, it's not just are you more prone to get an injury, it's can you compete? I mean, some guys have money tied up in contracts of how many games you play. Well, if you come off a game on Sunday and Sunday night and you get home at 1 and then you can't play Thursday, but you could have played Sunday, now that goes back into your contract. There's a lot of things that go into play from a player perspective. It's not just about, hey, how good is the quality of the team? And to your point, and I've played many Thursday night games, you do shrink your offense and defensive package because you can't do as much. You can't install as much. You can't watch as much film. All of those things come into play. And even if you can watch it all, you can't get out there and script it and go through it because guys' bodies aren't responding. I mean, you think in the NFL, most guys who get rest, they get rest on Wednesday or Thursday practices. And so now you're asking a guy, instead of getting a normal rest day, he may get a full game day. And so all of those things come into play. And also, it's funny how all these things lay out. Players, as they get on in their career, this is when it becomes a bigger deal because now you realize you're not ready to go on Tuesday like you were your first 3 or 4 years. Now in year 7, 8, and beyond, man, it hurts, right? I mean, you're only 60, 70% come Thursday, and you know what that's going to do. So maybe your coverage has to change, or maybe your blocking scheme has to change a little bit. But all of those things, it's not just about quality of play. It is about health and safety. Now, the NFL, I'm sure, will give you numbers of you're not more prone to get injured on a Thursday than a Sunday and blah, blah, blah. And we know how statistics can be manipulated no matter which side is trying to use it. But ultimately, it puts much more pressure on guys trying to play through things to make sure they do come up to that 70% start or whatever that number is in your contract. Or if you're on the active roster, you get X amount of dollars. And again, all of those things may sound silly to people outside of the game, but in the NFL, that may be how your salary is scripted. If you catch so many balls, if you have so many of these bonuses tied into your contract, missing a Thursday night game that you could have played on that Sunday, that would be devastating. And those are the things that players talk about. When we come off, it's not, hey, we want to mess the fans up, or we don't want to have a good time, all those things. We do care about the communities we live in. We do care about the fans who come and participate and pay our salaries, for lack of a better term. What we have to do is protect ourselves, because, Max, to your point, the league is not going to do it. We are widgets, right? We can be replaced really quickly. It's just moving on. Well, they know the next crop is coming in. So I understand it from their side as well about it is a bottom line business, but when it's collectively bargained the way it is, this is the things that players, if it's that big a deal, that you have to collectively stand up together and make a statement.
The other thing that I think it's important to mention is that I understand that we're trying to be fair here to some degree and make sure that everybody plays on a Thursday night because of how it just compromises your quality of life and all that. But damn that, it's national television. Right. And if you stink, you shouldn't be allowed on the air, plain and simple. I'm looking at the Thursday night schedule. I remember the Texans getting shut out by the Patriots in week 2 with Jimmy Garoppolo quarterbacking. So for some reason, I remember the Dolphins stunk up the joint because they didn't show up ready to play against Cincinnati. What the hell are the San Francisco 49ers doing on Thursday night television? How about the Cleveland Browns? What the hell are they doing on Thursday night television? How about the Chicago Bears on October 20th? What the hell is Jay Cutler doing on local television, let alone national television? These are the Jacksonville Jaguars were on Thursday night football. I mean, you got to be kidding me. And
you're talking about entertainment and quality of the play.
Stop with your philosophizing. You know as well as I do.
Here's the bottom line. Wait a minute.
What it is.
Here's the bottom line.
That's not what people want to see.
Here's the bottom line. Of course, we all want it to be as safe as possible for the athletes, and none of us hope that bad things happen to the athletes. But this goes for football, it goes for boxing, it goes for MMA. Let's stop pretending that primarily we care about the safety of the athletes. Right. Primarily, we care about being entertained. Absolutely. And if we really cared about the safety of athletes, we wouldn't support playing football or fighters boxing or getting in the octagon. These are dangerous sports. There will be physical repercussions, and we care more about, culturally, we care more about being entertained by that show of violence than we do about the effects of the violence.
Saturday,
period.
This is why I don't want. Hold on. This is why I don't like hearing this stuff from Max. This is why Max comes across as a flaming hypocrite when he brings up this particular subject. Let Max let Max get on a plane and fly to Vegas for a fight and let it be on. Hold on. Let it be on 2 weeks' notice, right. Or let it be, when some guy's eating burgers and all of this other stuff. And then, oh, by the way, you got to fight next week. Max would raise holy hell because they weren't put in a position to be in peak condition.
That's
but here, when it comes to football, you know what you signed up for. Stop it. Just stop it. You want to be peak condition.
Do it off a bye with
Jeff. Max, you can't put those in the same category because the length of time you get to prepare. Okay. Listen, when you know you're finishing at Sunday night or Monday morning at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning when you get home and you got to turn around, that is not the same.
I get it, but Jeff,
especially week 14, 15, 16. Think of the attrition that's going on in your body from training camp on. You can't compare that.
I get it.
Max don't care.
Even late in the season,
we got to figure something out.
Late in the season, even Sunday to Sunday, that happens. I mean, even if you have a week, it's tough. You see the attrition affect teams late in the season. But Jeff, what I'm asking is, what's wrong with tweaking it? Maybe you get rid of some Thursday games, but only teams coming off a bye play the Thursday game.
Listen,
aren't there ways to do it?
I'm all for changing the system and figuring people out and figuring that out. Here's what we do know. We do know that the NFL, the league set it up so the NFL Network could provide games. It ended up obviously not working or not moving the needle for them because then they tried to sell it to 2 different networks. Right? Nobody wants it. It's a tough sell. It's obviously not making money. Players don't like it. So we either need to switch it, get rid of it, or figure out something else to make this thing work.
I like watching games on Thursday.
And every team plays on Thursday night, so of course that's why we're going to get teams like the Browns and the Jags.
Which is what I said. That don't mean they deserve it.
Speaking of the poop fest, to quote Richard Sherman, it's the Rams at Seahawks this week, of course, without Jeff Fisher. Coming up, you are staying with us, Jeff Saturday. We appreciate that, but you don't want to miss today's final take. I'm shaking my head. Stephen A. has a very surprising pick for NFL Coach of the Year. Please stay tuned for that. Plus, after the break, we're going to get to some of the juiciest parts of Stephen A's interview with Aaron Rodgers from yesterday. Take a listen to what he had to say about his bad man nickname. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Do you like my nickname for you, that bad man that he is? Do you like that nickname?
I love it, man. I appreciate you. I know you're out there talking me up, man. I hear about you from my fans, and I appreciate you taking my back, man.
Aaron Rodgers joined the Stephen A. Smith Show on SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio yesterday, Channel 82, 1 to 3 Eastern. Stephen A., don't say I don't love you. Rodgers facing his fair share of critics, including the media, his brother, former teammates such as Greg Jennings, and the list goes on. Stephen A. asked Jennings about this criticism yesterday. Take a listen.
I don't really feel like I need to react to every story that's out there. Mm-hmm. I think the majority of these stories, you're talking about the same very small group of people doing the talking. The last article, there was a ton of quotes from my current teammates who all said very positive things about our relationship and the time that we spend together. And those are the opinions that matter to me. This small group of people, the same group of people who talk for these interviews. I think every time there's words out there, to me it says more about those people, I think, than it does about me.
Stephen A., is the Rodgers criticism justified?
Hell no, it's not. It's not justified at all. First of all, let me say that it was an extreme honor. I know that I was having fun and having a good time, but I was honored to have him on my show. I'm a huge fan, and I'm not going to apologize for that to anybody. I love me some Aaron Rodgers. That's why I came up with the slogan years ago, he's a bad man. I'm not talking about results because obviously we look at the Tom Brady's of the world and we know it doesn't compare. One Super Bowl doesn't compare to four and 6 trips to the Super Bowl and all of this other stuff. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that. And I get that. But from a purely talent perspective, talent in terms of throwing that football, whether scrambling to your left, your right, outside the pocket, standing in the pocket and flinging that football and having the wheels to couple with it at the quarterback position, my personal belief is I think Aaron Rodgers is the most talented, the greatest talent at the quarterback position I have ever seen. I'm dead serious about that. I'm not joking. You could talk about Dan Marino. You could talk about Dan Fouts. You could talk about John Elway. You could talk about, Joe Montana. You could talk about Brady and Peyton Manning and all of them. The talent that this brother has at the quarterback position, his ability to fling that football and to do the things that he does from a talent perspective, I consider him the greatest. And I'm not apologizing for that to anybody. And so I say all of that to say, when we talk about criticism, like I said to Greg Jennings when he was up in here, what are you talking about? Any kind of receiver, what are you talking about? I don't care what his brother says about. That's family issues. That ain't none of our business. Okay, a lot of people have problems with their siblings. We know nothing about it. It's none of our damn business. The only difference between Aaron Rodgers and somebody like me is he'll ignore them, while me, I'm prone to cuss you out. That's the difference between us. You asked me about my family as it pertains to his professional performance. Look at what the Green Bay Packers are able to do with year after year, this guy being devoid of a consistent, reliable running game, a consistent, reliable defense, a consistent, reliable offensive line, and somehow, some way, this man carries the franchise on his back. This brother's one of a kind, man. And I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm quite sure there are things that he could do to tweak stuff just a little bit, but I say it many times, and I'll say it again. He's a bad man. I would take him any day.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. He's the best I've ever seen. Not the greatest. I want to just quickly go through this. There's a difference between better and greater. In the one sport that can be measured objectively, that's track and field, we see that every top 10 sprinter in the world today is faster than Jesse Owens. That means they're all better. But how many are as great? How did they do against their contemporaries? And because Aaron Rodgers hasn't had Bill Belichick, he doesn't have the kind of resume in the playoffs that Tom Brady does. And so he will not likely be considered the greatest quarterback ever. But the best? You're saying the guy just who can do the most things, who I would like, everything else being equal, I'd want on my team at quarterback? Aaron Rodgers. I think he's the guy. And I think one of the reasons he doesn't get even more credit is he's not a kind of, I apologize, Jeff Saturday, because I know offensive linemen are very smart guys, but he's not the kind of football meathead that other football players like, I don't think, Jeff. That's what it appears to me. But I do think the criticism of him in the last year and 3 quarters, since the beginning of last year, has been justified. Not that he's been terrible. He's been an A-. For most of last year and then most of this year, there have been MVP candidates, and maybe he's now one. We'll see how it shakes out. And then he's been right below the MVP candidates. But we're used to knowing when we watch him, that's the best dude in the game. And he's been something less than that the last couple of years. And football's so interdependent, so reliant on other positions, coaching, etc. Your defense, if you're a quarterback without a great defense, suddenly you don't look as good as you would otherwise. So I get all that, but I also think his play has been something less than the best version of himself. And so the recent criticism, based on the standard he set, is justified. He's still elite, but the 3 or 4 or 5 years before last season, I thought, that's the best player in the game, period. And truth be told, guys, I'll still take Aaron Rodgers before anyone else. I think if Bill Belichick had Aaron Rodgers on the Patriots right now, they'd be even better. I just think he's that good.
Wow, I tell you, man, you two guys. I mean, I like Aaron Rodgers. He's a good player. I'm surprised that we're talking about the best or the greatest of all those things. When you're talking about Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, all those things, I understand what you're saying. It would be hard for me because of what you're saying. When you call someone the best, when you say that of all time or best where we are, it's hard for me to say that Aaron Rodgers is that right now. And for exactly your point, Max, of the last year and 3 quarters or whatever it is, year and a third, really. But to your point, it hasn't just been Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers had tried to press because of what he was being asked to do. I think when you have a football team that, to your point, can't run the football, you're struggling protection, your defense isn't lining up and taking care of business the way they should. As a quarterback, you take too much credit and you get too much criticism. And that's just the role, and that's the job that you have signed up for. So he has taken some shots that probably weren't necessarily fair according to the way that he's played. Because I'm like you, every year, I don't consider him below the MVPs. I always think he's in that MVP category because what you do ask him to do, whether it's extend plays with his legs, put the ball downfield, be aggressive and make those attacking style offensive plays, listen, that's hard to do. And when defenses understand that's what you're going to do, and they are taking that away, and you still can get it done to a certain degree, he was still getting it done. I mean, you got to take your hat off. I mean, this guy deserves respect as a type of quarterback he is. And to the other side, Stephen A., when you're talking about criticism from players of the type of person that he is and taking shots, whether it's his brother or other guys, I have always been. Listen, there are going to be guys you like and dislike in the locker room. That's reality, right? Your personality may not work. It may be, he may not be the team guy that you expect him to be. The way that he criticized his team this year, I would have had a problem with that if I was in the locker room. I would have went back and said, hey, listen, I'm all for it. You speak for yourself, that's great, man. Don't speak for me and the effort I'm putting forward, right? I'm not into that from whatever position you're sitting at. So there are things that are going to offend players, and guys aren't going to hold their tongue because he's Aaron Rodgers and the quarterback and the way that the media looks at him or his coaching staff looks at him or his GM looks at him, right? When we walk in that locker room, we're all the same. And no one cares what position you hold. If you're speaking ill about the way we've handled it, you better have talked to me before and said, hey, look, if I get asked, this is what I'm going to say. So at least we're on the same page. So and another thing, when you talked about the Jennings and you talked about Donald Driver and those guys played with Favre before that as well. So they're taking it from a different relationship maybe altogether, and we don't know. And until you put it in context, I don't know. But I would say
Jeff, who's better,
criticism
Favre or
on the field
I got a question.
is ill-fated. This guy, as a football player, has played lights out. He deserves all the credit he gets. MVP candidates, most valuable player, the awards he's gotten. Will he get to that 4 or 5 number from the Super Bowls? You have no idea. With a better coach, with Belichick, would they be better? No one knows. So we're assuming a lot of things with all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, in the system he's in, he's been a fantastic player.
Let me tell you the problem that I have with you saying that we're assuming. I don't believe I am assuming, because here's what I always say when I give speeches, Jeff. I am brilliant because I know I'm not. I listen to those who are.
Right.
And so if I'm
what I'm
listening
doing
to
on
Jeff
this show.
Saturday, if I'm listening, no, obviously it has nothing to do with this show because I teach you every day.
No,
Step
you
aside.
handpicked me for that
let me
reason,
focus
Stephen.
on Jeff. Let me focus on Jeff right here.
Bring it.
Jeff, here's the deal.
Yep.
When we sit up here, I listen to you guys talk football, and you guys dissect and highlight the intangibles that contribute to success or compromises the possibility of capturing it. So if I take those things into consideration and I use the words, remember, I said you can't dispute results.
Right.
Tom Brady is the creme de la creme. What I said is talent-wise, in terms of physical ability and what you have put on display, who can dispute that we have seen, the notion that we have not seen better than Aaron Rodgers as a talent? Who can dispute that?
I would say, hey, look at Tom Brady and what he's done for the longevity that he's done. I mean, does he look any worse right now than he did 4 years ago? The guy's still freaking slinging it, man.
Hey,
I mean, so to take that and say he's more talented, I mean, I'm not sure how you value judging. I think it's a broad generalization.
Can he run with the football?
Absolutely. Is he? That's not what he's asked to do. I mean, I'm saying for what he does
can't do that,
and
though.
what they're doing,
Jeff,
that's what I'm saying.
Jeff, time out 1 second, real quick. Favre or Rodgers, who do you got at their best?
Are you at Stephen A or me?
You.
I'm going
Jeff.
Favre.
Wow, I'm going
Please. Intercept as many interceptions as he threw. Just stop it,
Jeff
Jeff.
knows a little more about football than
Stop
Steve and me put
it.
together.
Oh, come
That's gonna be
on.
two guys in Green Bay. You know
come
who my
on.
favorite is. He's gonna have a 1-8 on his jersey, right? I mean, I play
I'm
with
going to
13.
drink my hot chocolate.
That's where I'm going to drink my hot chocolate. That's where I'm going.
I ain't got
Later in the
time.
show. Leave
I ain't got
Jeff
time.
alone. We want you guys to
please,
tell us
Jeff,
what you
Jeff,
think in our
stop it,
Twitter
Jeff.
poll. Who
Stop
would you
it.
rather have as your team's quarterback, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady? The guys have some.
Oh, I like to see
interesting
this.
to this one. I'm Team Brady, Jeff. Thank you so much for
like
being with
it.
us. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
With some new deflated balls brought to the NFL's attention with no punishment handed out, some think Roger Goodell owes Tom Brady an apology. You don't want to mix Max's take on this debacle. Plus, Le'Veon Bell went off on Sunday, and now he's saying teams need to look out for the black and yellow. Are they a real threat? We debate it next. Stephen A., I hear you got a really great final take in store for us today. Please tell us about it, sir.
Well, you know, there's a lot of great coaches that are doing great jobs and what have you. There's some things to consider. I'm going to address that in my closing remarks. I've got something to say about that. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Can't wait. I have a feeling I'll be shaking my
I'll
head.
just leave it at that.
Let's get into it. Earlier this month, the Giants got a hold of a couple of Steelers footballs and decided to see if they were below the NFL pregame inflation minimum. So the Giants told the league the PSIs were a little low, although they did not file a formal complaint. The NFL said all footballs were in compliance and apparently checked to see if referees had maintained control of the balls, and they dismissed the situation quickly. Now, the way the NFL handled the Giants-Steelers situation was a complete reversal from how it handled the Indianapolis-New England episode from the AFC Championship game in January of 2015. So Yahoo Sports writer Dan Wetzel called for Roger Goodell to apologize to Tom Brady. Max, does he owe him an apology?
No. If anything, Tom Brady owes Goodell a thank you. And so does Bob Kraft, and so does Bill Belichick, and so does every Patriots fan owe Roger Goodell a thank you. Think of what first of all, you got caught cheating. Okay, and this is the same team from Spygate that got caught cheating, and people want to argue it. Look, and I understand where the indignation comes from, the righteous indignation. Everyone cheats. You know, it's like the college program that gets caught and sanctioned, and they go for paying players. Like, what the matter? Everyone pays players. Why are we being treated differently? Well, because you got caught. And yes, maybe because you're more successful than everyone else, and they got it out for you. But this Patriots team, it would have otherwise just been a regular, excellent Patriots season. And instead, the Patriots fans get this special season because Goodell gave you the gift of righteous indignation. Tom Brady comes back like a house on fire. He is determined to have Goodell hand him the Super Bowl trophy. I mean, MVP. He can't wait for that. And he's playing like a man possessed. Not only that, he got 4 games off in the beginning of the season. That helps preserve him later in the season. As many predicted, including you, Stephen A. Smith. I mean, this was common knowledge. A quarterback of that age gets 4 games off. It'll help preserve him. This is a guy who struggled in the second half of last season. Let's not forget. How about Jimmy Garoppolo? You actually got to see him in action. He not only now has tremendous trade value, but he got live game action for the Patriots. Beat an Arizona team on the road, by the way, who were Super Bowl favorites when the season started. Garoppolo, now you see, can actually be Tom Brady's successor, or if my prediction, which is correct, proves to be not correct, which is very small likelihood, but anything is possible, I suppose, and Tom Brady is still elite at the age of 41, which no quarterback in the history of football has ever accomplished, well, then you can trade Jimmy Garoppolo for something really, really good. I mean, in every respect, this has benefited the Patriots, and I don't know why they're so mad at Goodell.
All of your points, while as valid as they may be, have absolutely positively nothing to do with why Roger Goodell does not owe Tom Brady an apology. He doesn't owe Tom Brady an apology because Tom Brady wasn't suspended for 4 games over Deflategate. Tom Brady was suspended because Tom Brady refused to cooperate to the degree that he could have, because he thought that the Tom Brady brand and the New England Patriots as an organization were bigger than the Shield. And ultimately, it became a tug of war and a battle between Tom Brady and the Shield that is the NFL. And that was why Roger Goodell took this to the hill. There was a collective bargaining negotiation that took place between the NFL and its Players Association. In that collective bargaining agreement, Roger Goodell, as the commissioner, is accorded and afforded a level of power that obviously has the league, the Players Association and its players themselves a bit perturbed on many, many occasions. Nevertheless, in the end, what it comes down to is that he has that power, and Tom Brady challenged it. So when they were willing to take it to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals and beyond and all of this other stuff, and Tom Brady supposedly was willing to take it to the Supreme Court, and the NFL was like, bring it on, because the NFL was making the case. No one player is bigger than the Shield. No one player is bigger than the league. And there's no way on earth that we can allow a precedent to be set where you think you get to usurp what we consider in sports to be the Bible. Now, as a reporter for 24 years, going on 25 years in this business, one of the things that I've prided myself on throughout the years, Max Kellerman, is covering collective bargaining negotiations. It's something that I've had to do with the NBA on at least 3 occasions. And there have been plenty of times where players would get upset at me because they thought I was taking the side of the league, when in fact I never took the side of the league. What I would say is, you don't have the leverage. Here is why you're going to lose this battle, whether it be during the throes of negotiations or after things were finalized and you're trying to challenge the authority of the commissioner. In the world of sports, the courts don't want to get involved. They lean on that collective bargaining agreement no matter what lower court judges decide to deviate from. This is what was going on with Tom Brady and Roger Goodell. And the reason why Roger Goodell does not owe him an apology is because all Roger Goodell did was, the hell with deflated footballs. How dare you think that you can challenge and win over our authority when you are a player under the guise of that collective bargaining agreement? That was what the battle was about. Tom Brady and them tried to make it about deflated footballs. It was not about deflated footballs. Well, yeah, it was about Goodell's power.
The deflated footballs turned into a proxy war over the power struggle between the union and the league. That element of it is true, but I think you're underestimating the one thing you don't have as the juggernaut, as the team that's rolling everyone. And the Patriots, considering this era of parity and considering how long they've done what they've done, in spite of the cheating, are the greatest dynasty in the history of football. And I think that goes for all levels of football, period, because it's much harder in today's NFL to do what they've done for as long as they've done it. It's an amazing accomplishment. But the one thing that robs a fan base of, or a franchise of, particularly if they're not from a small market, is, righteous indignation. You can't, it's all stacked against us. That's for the underdog team or the underdog town, neither which applies to the Patriots, to the New England Patriots, who have that whole region. So that's what Goodell has given them. He's gifted them that sense that the world is against them and they have something to fight for, and it's not just being an excellent football team. So
Max, you have this huge contract with ESPN, okay? And you work for ESPN, and you work. Let's stay with me, play with me for a little bit. You have this huge contract with ESPN. You're going to get paid no matter what. But let's just say, for example, part of your responsibilities were to write. and then ultimately you got accused of plagiarizing. And as a result, you got suspended for a month. Now you're going to get paid. You're going to get your money. You ain't going to lose much. You got the supermodel wife. You're going to be just fine, okay? And oh, by the way, when you come back, you're going to have the same platform. You're going to be able to make as much noise, if not more so. Everything is okay with the world. That's all right with you? If you feel you got suspended wrong, hold on.
It comes down to one thing.
Are you okay with that? Are you okay? No, I'm asking you a question. Are you okay with that? If you believe that you were done wrong and your reputation has been compromised or besmirched, are you okay with that? Just because
Here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. In this parallel universe, did this Max you're talking of plagiarize or not?
What?
It comes down to whether the crime was committed. So if do I think Tom Brady thinks that it wasn't committed? No, I don't believe that. I think it is a show. Maybe he's convinced himself of it, but it seemed to me that there was enough circumstantial evidence to make me think, as the league did, not beyond a reasonable doubt, but it's not a court of law. He probably did it. And so that's what it boils down to. And Goodell, by it turning into a technical CBA issue, has gifted Tom Brady and the Patriots and their fans with the gift of righteous indignation. And they're using it to their advantage.
That's not the issue. Whether they win or lose, at the end of the day, the bottom line is this man was suspended. It's an individual issue. I just happen to believe that Goodell wasn't wrong because Tom Brady should have massaged that situation long before he was suspended, and it wouldn't have come to that.
Shouldn't have deflated the footballs in the first place. Then there's no issue.
All right. You know who else is sorry, not sorry? Le'Veon Bell, because he's been running all over, folks. Stephen A., your Steelers are surging at the right time. Winners of 4 straight. And now first in the AFC North at 8-5. Le'Veon Bell feeling good about it after his franchise best 298 yards from scrimmage against the Bills. How about that? Telling Peter King of the Monday Morning Quarterback, I don't think any team in the NFL wants to play us right now. Since week 8 or 9, I've been saying this. Next week, we'll play even better. Now, since midseason, Bell's been averaging 191.4 yards from scrimmage. Stephen A., this is your squad. Is Bell right?
No, he's not right. I think he's right if he's talking about their offense. I think there's plenty of teams that I could pick from that would love to play against the Steelers defense. I don't think they're that enamored with it. This is not the Steel Curtain. This is not the Jays of Mean Joe Green and L.C. Greenwood with Jack Lambert and Jack Ham and Mel Blount and the crew. These are these Steelers where you got Cockrell and Gay and whoever the hell else is in their secondary that ain't getting it done. They rank 21st against the pass. And oh, by the way, that's a vast improvement compared to what they were. So even though they're improving and Mike Tomlin is going about the business of correcting those things, the reality is clear. The Pittsburgh Steelers are continuously suspect against the pass. Teams know you can throw on this team. And as a result, there's plenty of teams that would not mind playing against the Steelers at all based on that defense. Offensively, that's a different matter. You give Le'Veon Bell the ball, and you still got Antonio Brown out there with Jones and Marcus Wheaton and Sammy Coates and those boys. If Big Ben Roethlisberger is on his game, there's no one that wants to play that offense. So I think Le'Veon Bell was telling Peter King, the great Peter King of the Monday Morning Quarterback, I think what he was saying is nobody wants to play against us, as in this offense. He wasn't talking about the team collectively, because he damn sure can't say that about their defense. There's plenty of teams that would not mind going up against that Steelers defense. Plenty.
So what's your answer? Is he right or wrong?
He's wrong. He's incomplete because he didn't specify whether he was talking about the team or the offense. I'm saying if he's talking about the offense, yes. He's right. If he's talking about the defense, hell no, he's wrong.
I just want to write down incomplete. The next time you accuse me of taking both sides, I just want to write down the answer that seems to satisfy you.
No.
Incomplete.
Hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I got it.
First of all, you can't compare me to you because nobody needs a dictionary or a thesaurus or an encyclopedia to figure out what the hell I'm saying.
That's
an entirely different matter.
Words blow all right,
well, go ahead.
I'm sure about that,
Stephen A.
All right.
He's right. No one wants to play the Steelers. It's not that they're the best team. Look, if they had a real defense, Stephen A., they'd just be the best team. They're not the best team. That's not what he's saying, or at least it's not what I'm saying. They're not the best team, but they're exactly the kind of team you don't want. If that's your draw in the tournament, you're upset about that. You're like, damn, they're not the best team, but we had to get the Steelers. And the reason is they have the coach, the quarterback, the wideout, and the running back at an elite level. You got Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell. And that's what it comes down to. Back in the day, the Indianapolis Colts weren't always the best team, but you look at what they had, specifically, let's just deal with the players. Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James. It might not have been the best, but you want to play those guys in the playoffs? Now, as it turns out, Peyton Manning wasn't great in the playoffs back then, so maybe the answer is yes, but that hasn't been Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger is the kind of guy you want in the playoffs. So the whole point of a statement like this is not the claim that the team is the best. It's the claim that their upside is tremendous and you'd rather not play them, and I totally agree with that.
Okay.
All right. Ben Roethlisberger endorsing Le'Veon Bell for MVP, saying he'd vote for 2-6 any day of the week. And speaking of guys that know how to pound the rock like no other, coming up, Jim Brown and Ray Lewis went to Trump Tower yesterday to meet with the president-elect. The guys have a problem with this little get-together. Kanye was also there earlier in the day. And up next, boxing legend Oscar De La Hoya joins us. He's going to break down this weekend's big fight between Bernard Hopkins. There he is. Stay tuned, and Joy Smith. That is next.
I feel bad for Canelo because Canelo is not the ducking type. Because he doesn't want to throw his promoter under the bus, he's taking bullets from fans saying, you're ducking Triple G.
Canelo doesn't want to throw Oscar De La Hoya under the bus. I will. Oscar De La Hoya right now looks like a flaming hypocrite.
The bottom line is Triple G wanted this fight for a long time, but his promoter doesn't want to take that risk against Triple G, a man that most consider the baddest man on the planet.
All right, so there's that. Our next guest is boxing royalty, winning 10 titles in 6 different weight classes, including the lineal championship in 3 weight classes. He's currently the CEO and chairman of Golden Boy Promotions, the first Mexican-American to own a national boxing promotional firm. We welcome Oscar De La Hoya to the show, who joins us ahead of Bernard Hopkins' final fight against Joe Smith Jr. at the Forum. Oscar, thank you so much for being with us.
And good morning to you guys.
Good morning. Stephen A., take it away.
Now, Oscar, you know I love you. We'll get into why I got on you being a hypocrite about the Canelo Triple G, but you know I love you. We'll get to that just a little bit, but one of the biggest reasons, I got to do you some justice because, look, I'm personal friends with Bernard Hopkins. He and I go back almost 20 years. To me, I want you to talk about this fight, what it means to him, what it should mean to the rest of us, because he's fighting at age 50 for crying out loud. Right. I don't like it, but he wanted to do it. How do you feel about this, Oscar?
Well, I mean, first of all, it was an honor stepping inside the ring with a legend like Bernard Hopkins. I mean, even though I got stopped in the 9th round, it was an honor. And promoting him, being a partner at Golden Boy Promotions, it really is a pleasure. But 51 years old, his opponent is half his age. He's a dangerous opponent, but I believe Hopkins can still do it because he takes care of himself. He's a real, true athlete. He's the epitome of what an athlete should be. He doesn't smoke, doesn't drink. He goes to sleep at 9 o'clock, wakes up at 6 a.m. He's working out every single day, so he can afford to be a fighter at this age.
Oscar, I want to get to the Triple G Canelo stuff quickly. You as a fighter were promoted by Bob Arum brilliantly for much of your career, your professional career, and you were undefeated and you were making a ton of money. And my read about what happened with you is you were hearing fans talking about, well, Oscar's not fighting this guy and Oscar's not fighting that guy. And you wrestled control of your own career. And then Oscar, you fought everybody. You mentioned the Hopkins fight. He was a middleweight. You weren't a middleweight. You were the money man. You didn't need Hopkins to make money. You could have made money with anybody. You fought Bernard Hopkins. You fought Shane Mosley. You fought Felix Trinidad. You fought Ike Cortez. You fought everybody, Oscar, as a fighter. And now you're a promoter with a meal ticket like Canelo, as you were once a meal ticket for Bob Arum. Mm-hmm. And from where I'm sitting, it seems as though you are reluctant to risk your meal ticket in with a killer like Triple G. What say you to that?
No reluctancy whatsoever. When I fought all those guys, I was already maybe 25, 26 years old. And guess what? Canelo is now 26 years old, and he's ready to take on the best. I mean, look, Canelo has to go up to 160. He just cannot fight the best fighter at 160, moving up from 154. Canelo is ready to fight Triple G in 2007 as long as Triple G signs the contract. That's it. That's all we're waiting for. So, look,
but
I'm
Oscar,
looking forward.
Isn't that like a tried and true strategy in boxing? You can always put poison pills in a contract or offer a guy a deal that he ain't going to take, and then one side or the other, usually the ducking side, can say he didn't sign the deal?
I have to disagree because it's a deal that is an incredible deal for both guys. So I'm being fair here. I'm being fair to the public. I'm being fair to the fans. This fight must happen in 2017, and it will happen, believe me.
Okay.
Well, Oscar, getting back to my hypocritical comment, I'm clearly not talking about Oscar De La Hoya, the fighter. I know how great you are. Major props to you, my brother. Major props to you. But I got to get on Oscar De La Hoya, the promoter here. Based on everything you just said, what the hell did you have Canelo Alvarez, Saul Canelo Alvarez, called Triple G into the ring after you knocked out Mr. Glassjaw and undersized himself, Amir Khan, last May 7th. If you knew that y'all weren't ready to rumble that fall, why in God's name have Triple G come into the ring and tease us all into believing that was what we were going to see next? What was up with that?
I mean, that was out of my hands. Fighters sometimes, they're weird. That's the bottom line. And it was out of my hands. And look, but I'll tell you one thing. And this is. I mean, I can say this in the court of law. And this is the truth that in 2017. We want this fight to happen. Canelo wants it. I want it. The fans want it. And like I said, look. We're offering Triple G a fair contract, more than fair contract, an incredible contract, and we're hoping that September of 2017 this fight can happen.
Well, Max, before you come back, let's see. Here's where I got some issues with what you're saying, Oscar, because Triple G obviously is a legit middleweight, and we know that Canelo's on the come up. Triple G's whole thing is that, I shouldn't have to lose weight, go from 160 to 155 or whatever the case may be. If this guy is walking around calling himself a middleweight champion, that's one point. And if Canelo is
You never made catch weights, Oscar. You never made catch weights. You fought.
But check it out, Max. Oscar, if Canelo is so ready, why have your last two fights been against Amir Khan and Liam Smith? Are you kidding me? That's what y'all... Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, look, Canelo truly is a 54-pounder. I mean, he is. He can make the weight with no problem. And Canelo and I and the team has decided that for 2017, he will move up to middleweight, full-fledged middleweight, and fight the middleweight champions of the world, and that's including Triple G.
At 160, you're saying?
At 160, that's it. I mean, there's no catch weights here. There's no catch weights here at Golden Boy Promotions.
Oscar, this is live television now. This is live television,
This is live.
And by the way, just to give everyone a sense of Oscar De La Hoya's quality as a fighter, at almost the very end of his career, after having now admitted that he didn't always do the Hopkins thing and not drink and smoke and party and abuse his body, etc. You gave Floyd Mayweather, in his prime, a tough, competitive fight, and that was clearly you out of your prime. So right. Oscar De La Hoya is an all-time great fighter. We all understand that. Oscar, as it relates to Bernard Hopkins and this fight with Smith, Smith earned this fight with a first-round knockout of Fonfara, a tough guy who'd beaten Chavez Jr. What do you think about the quality of the matchup? Obviously, you're not looking to get Hopkins beaten in his last fight, and yet Bernard himself seems to need to feel challenged in order for him to get himself in shape to fight. What do you think of the matchup itself?
I think the matchup is, it's going to remind me of maybe a younger, fresher Kelly Pavlik. Bernard Hopkins is a fighter who knows how to dissect you. He knows how to take you apart and finish the fight in the later rounds. I think Bernard Hopkins is going to have a great time in there. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Joe Smith is a very durable, tough guy from the East Coast, All-American who's going to go out there and do his very best. But he does have power. He does have skill. And he's here to win. So it's going to be a tough fight for both guys. But I think Bernard Hopkins, his ring generalship, his skill, his experience. I think it's going to overtake the young Joe Smith.
Well, I love that Kelly Pavlik analogy, Oscar, because I used to love Kelly Pavlik. As
Right.
I don't know what the hell has happened to him, but I will say this to you: are you going to encourage Bernard Hopkins to keep his word and make sure this is his last fight? Because I really don't like the fact that a 51-year-old dude, as great as I know my man Bernard Hopkins is, I don't like the idea that a 51-year-old dude is in with any kind of young lion in the sport of boxing. Are you going to encourage this man to retire to keep his word and make sure this is his last fight?
I'm convinced this is his last fight, and believe me, look, we already have the Bernard Hopkins grilling machine for him when he retires. So just like George Foreman. So this is his last one. We're hoping it's his last one, but I really do believe him. He's working hard. He's out there, exposing himself to the world. He's a new man. He's a changed man. He's a man of that's very positive. He's a influential man. I believe that Bernard Hopkins is bigger than boxing. I believe that Bernard Hopkins, once he's done and retired, I believe he's going to have such an inspirational story where he can just be bigger than the sport.
Hey, Oscar, real quick before you go, I just want to say that as a fighter, you oftentimes put competition and glory and your legacy ahead, and really serving the boxing fans ahead of your own business interests at times. I mean,
that's true.
I mentioned the Hopkins fight, and I hope as a promoter, and you've done an amazing job. I never thought you would be as successful as you are and would have stuck to it through all the ups and downs, and you have. What you've done with Golden Boy is very impressive.
Thank you.
I want to tell you right now that I hope that as a promoter, you live up to that legacy that you set as a fighter, and whatever the business interests are, you make that Triple G and Canelo fight happen in 2017.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it, and I will put my promoter's license on the line.
That's what I wanted to hear, Oscar. I wanted to make sure that we ended this segment with you promising boxing fans we will see Triple G versus Canelo Alvarez in 2017. Do I have your word on that, sir?
You have my word, and Canelo is not afraid of Triple G. September, we're hoping he signs the contract, and it will happen.
Oscar, thank you. We're also looking forward to Saturday.
I know where I'm going to be at.
At the
I
Forum.
know where I'm going to be.
And Oscar, I want to personally thank you for putting up with those two. Max and Stephen A. are a lot. I got to deal with both of them every day.
I love putting up with them. I love putting up with them.
See, but you feel for me. Those two are tough.
I came on the show for you, Molly.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Like everybody.
Smart move.
We appreciate you. All right, coming up next, Donald Trump has been taking some meetings with all kinds of people since being elected president. Take a listen to what Jim Brown and Ray Lewis had to say about his meeting. We'll react after the break.
That's why we're here, because we can bring a lot of people to work together. And
we're not here because of politics. We are here to help the President of the United States help the people that need help.
It was a busy one for President-elect Donald Trump, meeting with Kanye West, and more importantly, for our purposes, NFL greats Ray Lewis and Jim Brown at his New York transition offices at Trump Tower. Here they are on the meeting.
We believe what the Trump administration is, if we can combine these two powers of coming together, forget black or white. Black or white is irrelevant. The bottom line is job creation, economic development in these urban neighborhoods to change the whole scheme of what our kids see for our next future. I think there's nobody we can't reach, and I think that's why we're here, because we can bring a lot of people to work together. And
we're not here because of politics. We are here to help the President of the United States help the people that need help.
So Brown said he fell in love with Trump after meeting him. Max, how do you feel about this?
Well, you know, when the president-elect says he doesn't need daily briefings because he's like a smart person, well, he's right. He is playing distraction politics here, and Jim Brown is playing right into it. I mean, a Putin business associate he nominates for Secretary of State. And what are we talking about? What are the names you just said, Molly? We just talked about Kanye West and now Jim Brown. So look, Jim Brown is pursuing an agenda that is important to him and is important, period, by the way. Of course, economic development in the inner city is a worthwhile cause. But if in order to pursue that end, he is willing to be used as a pawn in the president-elect's distraction politics, okay, fine, that's a decision Jim Brown makes. But he should be aware, and being a smart guy, I'm sure that Jim Brown, I assume he is aware that that's what's happening, because that is what's happening. And I guess that's fine, although if the president-elect continues to flout American political norms and once he becomes president undermines democratic institutions, then I hope Jim Brown is there to say that he's not so crazy about what the president is doing. Because right now, this is a bad look.
I completely disagree with you. I don't think it's a bad look at all. And what I would caution everybody to think about, Max, is this. You literally have conservatives, not just on Capitol Hill, but beyond, thinking that Donald Trump is going to be a problem because the rhetoric that he spewed during the election and the kind of impression that he's given and with his cabinet selections, that ultimately he's going to turn and he's going to be more of a leftist because of some of the policies that he's adopting. We don't know what the hell he's going to do. He's the president-elect. Once he's inaugurated, let's find out and we'll go from there. To address Jim Brown and Ray Lewis, that's the issue in question at this particular moment in time. And when you think about what Jim Brown's agenda is, that is what I think we should focus on. It remains to be seen whether Donald Trump is genuine or not. We'll find out. We suspect that he won't be, but we don't know. We'll see. But there's nothing to question here about Jim Brown in terms of how he looks. I think what he said and how he looks is consistent with who he has been. Let's think about this. Let's read up on our history. This is the same guy that organized athletes to support Muhammad Ali when, he refused to enter the armed services, enter the army, and he was stripped of his heavyweight crown. This is the same Jim Brown that founded the Black Economic Union to promote economic development within the African American community. When in the 1980s, where you had violence, raiding, going on all over the place, particularly between the Crips and the Bloods, it was Jim Brown that felt that issue usurped the importance of economic development within the black community, because he felt it was imperative that, you got folks to stop killing one another. This is what led to the founding of the America I Can Foundation. And so when you look at it from all of those different situations and you listen to him and Ray Lewis talking yesterday, what they were talking about was addressing the issues permeating through the black community right now and what needed to be done to stir economic development and growth within the African American community. You got people bringing up the obstruction of justice charge that Ray Lewis ultimately pleaded to in 2000, as if 16 years later, that has something to do with it. The man was tried. You heard the case. He pled guilty to an obstruction of justice charge. Didn't stop him from playing for the Baltimore Ravens. Didn't stop him from making contributions within the community. Didn't stop him from winning another Super Bowl champion by the way. All right. Didn't stop him from doing any of that. And it certainly didn't stop him from being employed by ESPN and other networks. And so let's keep our eyes on the ball here and understand no matter what we feel about Trump, these individuals and their cause is very legit.
Listen,
and go from there.
That's why I said that Jim Brown's agenda that's important to him is an important one, period. And he's done plenty of good work. I'm a fan of his in that respect. In this case, first of all, Trump has zero cabinet appointments that makes anyone on Capitol Hill think that he's leftist. He has alarmed some Russia hawks on the right and on the left.
I didn't say that the cabinet appointments was leftist.
But you brought up that his policy would be
I said there were people on Capitol Hill who suspect that he's going to go left, regardless of what you're seeing from him with the cabinet appointments. That's what I said.
Okay, regardless of that. Okay, that's a different point. In terms of Jim Brown, I agree with your point about him that if you're coming from a point of view that, look, these are the issues important to me. And so whatever else happens, I'm putting that aside for a second. I have the president-elect of the United States willing to meet with me and work with me on constructively, in my opinion, on an issue that's important to me. And by the way, I mentioned that's important, period. That's fine. But understand you're gaining that access because you're being used as a pawn in distraction politics, which is why if I don't bring up that point right now, you will not hear about that on most media outlets. You will hear about Kanye West and Jim Brown. That's the point.
But wait a minute. But how is it distraction politics as it pertains to Jim Brown if Jim Brown's issue is helping the inner city community?
It's not to Jim Brown.
Well,
he's getting something out of it. He's getting access, and he might be getting support out of it.
Well, if that's the case, any politician, everything. When Barack Obama signed Obamacare into law and had the little kid next to him, that's distraction politics.
No, that's not distraction politics. That's a photo op.
It's not distraction politics.
Had Obama met with Kim Kardashian that day, that would have been distraction politics.
Do you really believe that Jim Brown meeting with President-elect Trump, along with Ray Lewis, and them addressing issues that are permeating throughout the African-American community, do you really think that's going to distract America from whatever Trump is doing?
Obviously.
It's one of the issues.
Well, we're not. Obviously, it is.
We're talking about it. That doesn't mean we forget or we're not having our eyes on everything else he's doing. That's one issue.
No.
We're addressing the issue.
In terms of the importance of the meeting, it will be disproportionately covered by the American media compared to other more important issues.
Guys. We got to keep the show moving here, and we got to get back to sports. Sorry to cut you off. Coming up, who would you rather have as your team's quarterback right now, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady? Is Stephen A. sticking with his new friend, the bad man? Plus, coming up, final take. Let me tell you, Stephen A. has me baffled with a surprising pick on NFL Coach of the Year. We'll see how you feel. Stay tuned for that towards the end of the show.
I grew up watching some of the all-time greats and being a huge fan of Steve Young and Joe Montana and Brett Favre. I mean, those are three of my all-time favorites, and I've gotten to know those guys over the years, which has been a thrill for me. I know Tom pretty well. I think he is, one of the best, if not the best of all time. But obviously, you hope to be in those conversations, when you're done playing. If we can find a way to get another one that will all go down with a special place in the great history of the Green Bay Packers.
That was Aaron Rodgers on Stephen A's radio show on Sirius XM Mad Dog Radio yesterday, saying he hopes to be in the greatest of all time convo with Tom Brady. So we asked you guys earlier in the show, who would you rather have, Rodgers or Brady? And the results are in. 66% say Brady, 34% say Rodgers. I am with Twitter. Max, do you agree?
Yes. Who's better? Who would you actually rather have? Brady, because he's played his career with Belichick. So you can't really separate the two. Rodgers is better, more talented, however you want to put it. If Belichick had Rodgers, the Patriots would be better. If Green Bay had Brady, Green Bay would be worse. If you switch teams, the Rodgers team gets better. He's better. But because of the fact that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have Belichick and Brady does, Brady has a better resume, and I consider Brady, in fact, the greatest quarterback of all time. And if that seems like I'm contradicting myself, the analogy...
Who would you rather have?
The analogy I'd use is two equally bright students. One goes to community college, the other goes to Harvard. At the end of by the time they graduate, the kid from Harvard, even if he wasn't equally as bright, even if he was a little duller, the kid from Harvard compounds his advantages and winds up the guy you would rather have. And so in that sense... you can't take that away from Brady. On my football team, the same coach, everything equal, Rodgers is the better guy.
Well, first of all, you're completely wrong, and believe it or not, it's a situation, Max Kellerman, where you and I are perfect examples of this. You went to an Ivy League school. You went to Columbia. I have no doubt you graduated with honors. I went to some little old HBCU called Winston-Salem State, and everyone would rather have me than have you. So, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, okay? So I understand that. Now, here's the deal with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. We can't poo-poo 4 Super Bowl titles, 6 Super Bowl appearances. We get all of that, and we understand the resume of Tom Brady is what it is. But I think that to some degree, even though Bill Belichick is obviously fed off of Tom Brady has fed off of that system in New England that has helped them immensely. I look at Aaron Rodgers' talents, and I can say you could put that anywhere, and he would still be as great. I'm not sure Tom Brady would be as great without Bill Belichick.
We're on the same page about this.
All right. No matter who's around him, Tom Brady continues to drive that team, and he's a team player. But we are out of time, folks.
Yes.
Coming up, you know what it is. Final Take with your boy, Stephen A. Smith. You don't want to miss today's.
First Take is brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You are so disrespectful.
He is going to fall off a cliff.
Shut the hell up.
That's not even close to my best.
They're wrong. And I don't give a damn that they agree with me or not.
You know what it is. It's that time of the show where Stephen A. gives us some good word in the final take of the day. Stephen A., take us home.
Thank you, Molly. You know, it's a little bit too early. Still a few weeks to go in the regular season. But it is about that time to start thinking about who warrants Coach of the Year honors. You think about the job that Andy Reid is doing in Kansas City. We can't ignore that. Jack Del Rio in Oakland. We can't poo-poo that. You look at Bill Belichick once again putting his greatness on display. 11-2 record, 4 of those games without the great Tom Brady. We certainly can't dismiss that either. But as sacrilegious as it may sound, as much as it may nauseate me to admit, I must confess that if I was compelled to give a vote today, it would have to be for Jason Garrett of the Dallas Cowboys. And by the way, it ain't just because of their 11-2 record, only 2 losses to the New York Giants to speak about. It's also because of the history of Jason Garrett. When this man got the job in 2010, taking over in Week 10, I was appalled by it, A, because I thought that Jerry Jones basically had set Wade Phillips up to fail. They struggled. He takes over in Week 10. He's already being paid as much as the head coach, which you know is a sign of things to come. Jason Garrett was the resident golden boy, the resident son of Jerry Jones. He goes 5-3 that year. But over the next 3 years, 8-8, 8-8, 8-8. Although it had me laughing, it also had me looking at Jason Garrett as somebody who simply wasn't getting the job done. Losing on a final regular season game to a divisional foe, each time. Then they go 12-4, but they ran DeMarco Murray into the ground. And I said, what greatness is there in that? And of course, they nosedived last year when Des Bryant and then Tony Romo got hurt. But this year, watching these Cowboys, as much as it pains me to admit, Jason Garrett deserves a hell of a lot more credit than any of us are giving him. You got a rookie quarterback. You got a rookie running back. You still got a 6th-ranked offense, the number 2-ranked rushing attack. But he doesn't even deserve credit because of that. It's because on the defensive side of the ball, where the Dallas Cowboys are clearly supposed to be a liability. They have the 5th-ranked defense in the NFL, number 2 against the run. Bottom line is this. You got some talent on that defense. It ain't elite as the talent on the offensive side of the ball. But nevertheless, the Dallas Cowboys are getting it done, despite their dysfunctional environment with an owner who can't keep his mouth shut because he wants to be the coach, the GM, and everything else. Somehow, some way, Jason Garrett has worked through all of that. Major props. He's my coach of the year.
Wow, if only I had a number 33 jersey to hand you. Final Take, it never disappoints. If you like what you saw, go to our Facebook and Twitter pages and join the conversation. Have a good day.